Welcome back to another live stream. How is everyone doing? It is a chilly Thursday night here in Malaysia. It's been raining all day long, which is a good and bad thing. Good because it's cold and I won't be sweating as much as I usually do on Thursday nights in this live stream. Bad because I'm sure out there a lot of the roads in Kuala Lumpur are flooded. And it's not just in Kuala Lumpur. We have been having floods all over the country, and it's been causing not just inconveniences, but I think people have lost lives. So yeah, I wish the rain would stop. I don't mind the chilly weather, but it causes more problems than the good that it brings. Okay, as usual, before we start, just want to make sure that the audio and video is okay. I see that some people are telling me that they can hear me and see me fine. Thank you so much for the updates. I guess I'll just skip that part and go straight to my coffee. Yes, I have coffee this week. I ran out of coffee last week, so I've refilled my coffee. Coffee. And some people say that if you can sleep after you drink coffee, or right before, like you drink coffee and then like you sleep after that, you can sleep with no problem, right? It means that you may have ADHD. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I have ADHD. I have no idea. It's a stimulant, right? So I've never had any issues sleeping, but not too much though. If I drank like too much, let's say 3 cups of coffee before I sleep, then I'll have trouble sleeping, right? If it's just 1 cup, then it's fine. Let's say hi to some people first. Gregory says, hello, only 4 here, who's there? I saw your message earlier before the stream started, and at that time, I saw the counter showing 25 people watching concurrently. So yeah, maybe you have to refresh your browser or something. And hi, Gregory. Nice to see you. Rowan Capture says, I am. Good to see you again, Rowan Capture. Tomato says, good evening. Hey, Tomato, I see you've changed your handle. Tomato Sandwich. Wow, okay, that's interesting. Thanks, Rowan Capture, for the update. Appreciate that. Hey, Andrew, how are you? Very good to see you again, Andrew. Hello, Robin and everyone. Audio and video okay. Super cold, raining evening. Freezing after my swim training just now. Wow, you do everything. Hey, you run, you do like all those things, and you also swim. That's crazy. And it's like 25 degrees in my room. That's never happened. It's usually 28. When it's 28, it's actually okay. But sometimes it goes up to 29, 30 degrees. That's really crazy. Gregory says, now more. Hey, Robin, everyone. Audio and video okay. Thanks, Gregory. And everyone in New Orleans has ADHD. Yeah, I've never had issues sleeping after I drank coffee. The only reason I couldn't sleep was because maybe I didn't tire myself enough. Like, I didn't do anything the whole day, just lazing around, didn't go out, or didn't go to the gym, or didn't get any work done. Just binge watching TV shows, right, or play video games. Then I probably will have difficulties sleeping. But if I went out to do a shoot, come back from like half day or full day shoot, and I went to the gym and I edit some photos, after that I'll be just wiped out, right? Asru says, good evening, Robin. Hey, Asru, how are you? Yes, rainy week. My limit of coffee is 4 cups. That makes me not sleep overnight. Anyway, happy to be here as this topic is something I can comment about later. No worries, and very happy to see you again, Asru. Yeah, 4 cups is like normal, right? 3-4 cups a day. And I have no issue as well. Like, I can drink coffee throughout the day, no issue. Like at night, I'm just talking about like just before sleep. A lot of people say that, oh, if they drink coffee before they sleep, they have difficulty sleeping, right? So yeah, I've never had that problem before. Hey, Vapagumuka, nice to see you here. Good evening, Robin. Good evening to you too. And thanks for the update. All right. MFS says, good morning and happy Thanksgiving from San Diego, Robin. Oh, it's Thanksgiving for you guys, right? It's not a thing here in Malaysia, but we are aware of that celebration for, I think, Americans specifically, all right, from the States. So happy Thanksgiving to anyone who is celebrating. Hope you guys have a good one. 75BG says, hey Robin, hi people, hey, how are you? Nice to see you here. Andrew says, outdoor public swimming pool too, super freezing. Yeah, I can imagine the temperature is like crazy cold, hey. I don't want to get into the water. Yumi says, hi Robin, hi everyone, hope you are well. Hey Yumi, good to see you again. How are you? Jerry says, hi all, it's dark and wet in Finland, snow melts. Ah, it's already snowing now in Finland? My goodness, this is early. It's only in November, right? Wilson says, do you recommend OM3 for talking hard head camera with pack lens? Okay, I'm just going to assume what you're trying to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're saying recommending OM3 for talking head camera with the pack lens, with the kit lens. I'm guessing with the kit lens? What's the kit lens that comes with OM3? They normally sell with 1245. My talking head video, if you haven't seen yet, let me just give you this link. I've done one video recently to talk about how I do my talking head videos, right? If you haven't seen that, please check it out. Let me just pull the link quickly for you so you can watch the video later, okay? Okay, nobody believe I use this lens. So actually the lens that I use is the Olympus 45 f1.8 for talking head. Check this out, Wilson, if you have not. So I talk about how and why I use the 45 1.8 for my talking head videos. And depends on what you want to do with your talking head. There's no right and wrong. A lot of people like to use wide angle so they can see everything in the background if that's what you want, or you want to be as close as possible to the camera so you can control it while you're recording. You don't want to be too far away. You want to see everything clearly, right? Then you can use wide angle. I don't like wide angle look. I feel that my face is distorted. I don't like too much background in my shot. I like a cleaner shot. I like a compressed background. That's why I use a medium telephoto lens like the 45 1.8 for my talking head shot. And I also like the blurry background. The bokeh from that lens is just beautiful. I've always said that the 45 1.8 is a fantastic portrait lens. So if I'm using that lens to shoot people, right, why don't I use that lens on myself for my talking head shots? You get what I mean? So, well, I explained everything in that video. I don't want to repeat it here. This is not the topic for tonight. So, OM3, I guess, is a fine camera. You can get the same results maybe from OM5, OM5 Mark II, or even EM5 Mark III. For the longest time, I think the first 3 years, I used EM5 Mark III for this video. Only recently, in the past 2 years, I switched over to my EM5 Mark II. So you get the same results on OM3, OM1, even OM5, no issue whatsoever, right? Okay, hope that helps you and you find that particular video useful. Gareth says, on some reason live streams I have been on YouTube has stopped displaying handles. Ah, yeah, I know, right? I don't know why, they just displayed Elias something, right? So I'll be reading some very weird names. Jeff says, hey Robin and everyone. Hey Jeff, very nice to see you. Fajosh says, hi Robin, how many lenses you need for a wedding job? All prime lenses. Sorry if it's out of topic. No worries. Feel free to ask anything. This is like a conversation and a chance for you guys to ask me questions, and I can share as much as I can outside of my normal long form videos every week, right? And I welcome any questions, whether it's on topic or not. So wedding shoot, there are different styles. I observe different photographers working differently. The most common one, I'm just going to generalize. It's not even about whether you use an Olympus or Micro Four Thirds, just to generalize. If you look at the popular camera brands that people use to shoot weddings, it has always been Canon and Nikon. And the lenses that they've used, it has always been consistent. The popular ones are two zoom lenses, either 24-70 f2.8 or 24-105 f4, the standard zoom lens to cover wide angle and general medium shots, and a telephoto lens, which is the 70-200 f2.8 or f4, depending on how much budget you have and what lens you can afford. Now, coming back to Micro Four Thirds, I'm sure you're using Micro Four Thirds. If you want to use that zoom lens, which is very flexible, you just have two lenses, and you're not going to use both lenses at the same time. And if you don't want to change lens, you can have two camera bodies. One body with the 24-70, 24-105, and the other one with the 70-200, right? In terms of Micro Four Thirds, is 12-40 f2.8 Pro, I will say, or maybe a 12-60 Panasonic, or it could be 12-100 if you don't mind working with f4, but I would definitely suggest going for f2.8 if you want to go to zoom lens, so 12-40 f2.8, and then the longer telephoto zoom would be this 40-150 f2.8 Pro. All right, so this is very common. A lot of people use 240, 40 to 150, and it's enough to do everything. There are other groups of photographers who prefer to shoot with prime lenses. I'm one of them. And I will show you not so much on how to do a wedding. I'm actually going to share a series of photos which I've taken for an actual shoot that I did, where I use all prime lenses. And I have converted from shooting with zoom to prime since, I don't know, many, many years ago. The reason is because I deal with low light. I prefer the smaller form factor of the lenses, and I can change lens quickly because Micro Four Thirds, Olympus, Panasonic, the cameras are very small, cameras and lenses, so it's very easy to handle. I just take the lens out of the bag, mount on my camera, take the lens over there. I'm not using it, chuck it back into the bag, right? So everything is very quick. You have to be very well practiced and very efficient in changing lenses to use prime lenses. So for me, if I go to a wedding shoot today, I'm going to bring Panasonic 9 f1.7, Olympus 25 1.8, maybe the Panasonic 15 1.7 as well, just in case. Then there are longer lenses such as 45 1.8 and 75 1.8. I probably won't be using 75 1.8 a lot unless I'm shooting the stage during speeches or if there's anything that I want to shoot from a distance. I think 45 1.8 is more than sufficient to cover my needs, but 75 is just there just in case. But the primary lenses will be the 25 1.8 and 45 1.8. For group shots, I'll try my best to do everything with 15 1.7. I'll try. But for the wider ones, when I don't have enough space to work with, when my back is pressed against the wall, I'll be using the Panasonic 9 f1.7. I hope that makes sense. There's no right and wrong. It's up to you if you want to use zoom lenses or prime lenses or a mix, right? You can use a 12 to 40 f2.8 and a 75 1.8 and 9 f1.7, right? Like 3 lenses, no problem. Or you can choose, mix and match whatever that works for you. But I believe in prime lenses because I want the f1.7, f1.8. It allows me to gather more light and use lower ISO, especially when I'm dealing with low light. And that's the topic that leads into the topic that we are talking about today. The reasons why I use prime lenses for Micro Four Thirds, because it really helps when I'm dealing with low light situations, which is a lot for my job. I hope that answers your questions, Fajar. Okay, let's get to a few more chat and then we'll start with the updates for for the week. Andrew says, I'm much a prime lens guy, mostly because for low light. Yeah, I can totally see where zoom lenses can be useful as well. There are cases where you may not have the opportunity or the flexibility to change lens. Like for example, if you're shooting in a factory where it's very dusty, there's smoke and particles flying around. You don't want to open up the lens mount and let those particles fly into your image sensor. It may cause some damage to it. So in that situation, zoom lenses, maybe if you don't have like a very long zoom, like 12 to 100, maybe 2 cameras, each with different zooms, can cover everything that you need to shoot in that environment. Or at the beach, right? Or like at the desert. Like, there are many places where you can't change lens all the time. If you're shooting in wet conditions under the rain, like, are you going to change lens under the rain? No, right? So I can totally see where zoom lenses come in handy. And I do have zoom lenses. I have Olympus 12 to 40 whenever I need it, right? So yeah, Roy Capture says, I'm looking at the 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro next year. Hopefully only like $1,000 short at the moment. Would the 2x teleconverter be better than cropping in post? Definitely, if you use teleconverter, the images that you get from it will definitely be better than cropping. But if you compare the images from the teleconverter versus without teleconverter, there is a drop of sharpness and image quality. I'm actually talking about this for capture in next week's video on Monday. So yeah, please make sure that you watch on Monday's video. I think you can watch on Sunday evening Malaysian time. You have 24 hours before everyone else because you're a member. I talk about the compromises of using a teleconverter with a long lens. But other than that, definitely the image quality will be better than cropping. Definitely better. Andrew says, that's the reason why we have multiple cameras with different prime lenses. Yes, definitely. But I have given up on using multiple cameras. I have recently just used one camera and just keep changing lenses. I bring at least 2 cameras to a job. One as a backup. Usually OM1 is the backup. EM1 Mark II is the main camera. Yumi says low light with Micro Four Thirds, no problem, work around it. Use tripod, artificial light, excellent image stabilization, brighter lens, use higher ISO. Alright, with that, I'll put a pause at the chat because Yumi is already diving into the topic. I don't disagree with you, Yumi, very good suggestions. And yeah, I definitely think that what you said is very true. Now, I want to give some updates. Not much updates really, but let me drink coffee. Coffee. I have a new video on Monday. If you guys haven't watched it, it was a inside macro again. I went to a park which I have not explored before, so it's a new place for me, and I shot some inside macro at that park with this combo, which is the Olympus EPL7 and the Olympus 60f 2.8 macro, which I think is a fantastic macro lens and one of the best macro lenses out there. The reason I use the EPL7 is just to show that you don't need the latest and greatest camera. This camera is what? I don't know. I think 12 years old now. EPL7 launched. I don't even know when it was launched. 7 Olympus. Instead of just giving a wrong information, let's just check online. It was launched in EPL7 2014. So it's 11 years ago, right? So let's call it just round up to 10 years. So this 10 years old camera is not the latest. It's outdated now. We have newer cameras and definitely cameras with better features and more powerful with new sensor and everything, like better stabilization. But this is a very modest, very humble, it's quite old now. It's considered outdated camera, but I still think that it can deliver fantastic results. I have no issue with autofocus. I can get my shots. As seen in the video, I've got some really cool shots using this combination. And I use this old flash that refuses to die. When it dies, I'll probably buy like a Godox flash or some third-party cheap flash. Because I don't use flash that much for my jobs, so I don't really need to invest in flash. I use it for like group photos and maybe some, especially for macro. All my macro shots use flash, but I don't do macro that much. So yeah, this combination, I got the macro shots. That was on Monday, and the video was about why Macro Four Thirds excels in macro photography, because we get more magnification, we get more depth of field, we have image stabilization. Definitely we have a fantastic macro lens and everything is smaller and lighter, so it's easier to handle. You can shoot for a longer duration of time. Handling is more comfortable and definitely better compared to larger and heavier setup. It's harder for you to move around and you'll suffer like wrist pains or finger pains or all kinds of discomfort on your body, even your back or neck pain, right? Depending on how you use the camera. So something lighter and smaller definitely is easier to handle. And especially macro, it's very physical, intense activity compared to a lot of other different kind of photography genres out there. So that was on Monday. Please check the video out if you have not done so. I thought I have a very important message there that, hey, don't look down on Macro Four Thirds. Macro Four Thirds truly shines in macro photography, and if you're new to macro, maybe Macro Four Thirds is a great place to start, right? So other than that, I don't have any more updates really. I don't even have new photographs to share. I'll be sharing some old photographs later because last weekend I had some jobs. So I did not have free time to shoot. And then this week has been raining the whole week. Like some Malaysians on the chat would definitely testify to this, right? They can say that it's like today it's been raining whole day. Actually, I am free today. So I was contemplating on going out to shoot in the morning to get some shots to share later, like now. But yeah, it was raining when I woke up. And then in the afternoon, I thought, hey, if the rain stopped, I'll just go out and get some shots, whatever I can find, right? And it still rains like nobody's business. I think around 2 o'clock at my place, it just rains and rains. And it's getting worrying because it's a concern when it rains so much. There might be floods around the city or other parts of Malaysia. So those who are in high-risk areas of floods, please stay safe. I hope you are doing okay. Yeah, safety is always the most important thing. Please prioritize safety. I don't have anything new. And this weekend, I'll be going to Penang actually this weekend. So I'll be going Saturday, Sunday, and coming back on Monday. I have some shoots there on Saturday and Sunday, so I can't do much on Saturday, both Saturday and Sunday, but I'm flying on Monday afternoon. So on Monday, hopefully it's not raining in the morning so I can have some shuttle therapy time. Or else I have nothing to share again next week with you guys. I have nothing new to share, right? Yeah, it's been but the shoots have been, I'm looking at my calendar, my jobs, they are slowing down towards the end of the year. I'm getting less jobs. Not a problem. I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I have more time now to go out and shoot. It's just that the weather is not cooperating. And some people say, but Robin, your camera is weather sealed, right? You have some weather sealed cameras and lenses. Like, why don't you just shoot in the rain? Like, are you crazy? I don't want to fall sick. And like, there are a few things that can make me sick, right? Not enough sleep, not enough water, not drinking enough water, and in the rain, right? I don't know. People just fall sick easily when they go into the rain. And I don't want to fall sick. And at my age, it's not. It gets harder and harder to recover if I get sick, like if I have fever or something. It's not as when I was like 20 years ago, when I was so much younger and like I'm invincible, right? I don't need sleep. I don't need anything. I can just go through and do everything like burn midnight or whatever. Like can just function with no issue. But or even when I'm sick, I can just work, right? No issue. But now things are different. I'm not gonna go so sick. I'm not weather sealed, right? So. Yeah, and later on, the photographs I'm sharing will be in line with the topic that we are discussing tonight, which is about low light shooting with Micro Four Thirds. With that, let's jump into the topic. Is low light an issue or a problem for Micro Four Thirds system? I think this question is subjective. Some people will say, no, it's not a problem, they can manage it. I'm certainly one of the people belonging to that camp. I have no issue with low light shooting with Micro Four Thirds. But there will also be another group that says, okay, I've tried both Micro Four Thirds and full frame and I can't go back. Like full frame is just so much better, right? It gives cleaner results. I get more details. I get better tonality, color rendering in low light compared to Micro Four Thirds. And that is also valid. I think this kind of situation, this kind of question, there is no hard yes and no answers. We have to look at different situations and different people and the different kind of photography that they do. Like for example, wedding shooters or event shooters might be different from say sport shooters or wildlife shooters, for example, and different photographers will have different requirements, and what they call low light from one situation may not be the same as another. And for me, the low light that I'm dealing with mostly comes from stage photography. Sometimes I shoot for Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Centre and this stage for theatre, mini concerts, plays, or dance, right? And especially dance, ballet dance, all kinds of dance, there's a lot of fast movement. And because of these fast movements, even if it's not very low in light, I still have to use very high ISO. So that causes a different kind of problem. And there are situations where the light is so minimal, like almost candlelit, but not candlelit. You'll see later, I'll share, that you have no choice. Even if you use like f1.8, f1.4 lenses, you have to bump up your ISO to really high numbers. And that kind of situation is very, very, very challenging, even for Micro Four Thirds. And I can confidently say that I have not faced a situation where my Micro Four Thirds system cannot perform. I have shot Micro Four Thirds for more than 10 years now. Professionally, I think full-time using Micro Four Thirds, earning as a full-time photographer since 2017. I mean, minus the pandemic years, 2 to 3 years. I've been shooting maybe 5 years now. 5-6 years as a full-time photographer, and I have no issue delivering to my clients using my cameras and lenses. I've never had any complaints, and the proof is that the clients keep coming back to me and ask me for new jobs or shoot again. And because of these recurring clients, I can confidently say that I managed to deliver my part and they're happy with my shots. So that's very important, because a lot of people say, oh, Micro Four Thirds cannot perform. I don't deny full frame is better in a lot of aspects. You can shoot maybe 2 stops cleaner ISO with full frame. That is definitely something that we can't challenge. It's physics. But for me, Micro Four Thirds is sufficient, and I prefer to have all the other benefits that comes with Micro Four Thirds, like powerful stabilization, lenses and cameras that are being so small and so light, it's so much easier to handle. If I'm shooting an event or stage or wedding, I can run around with smaller cameras and lenses. With a smaller bag, it's easier for me to move around, and that enables me to get better shots rather than being held down with large and heavy glass, right? And all that factors in, and also like Micro Four Thirds, I think now it's not an issue anymore. A lot of the full frame cameras now have silent shutter, but I remember in the beginning, earlier on, my EM1 Mark II was the first few cameras that has really usable electronic silent shutter, and that was a huge deal. Whereas all the full frame counterparts have super loud shutter. If you use Sony A7 series cameras, you know how loud the camera clacks, right? Even Fuji cameras are super loud. But because it has complete silent shutter, and I can shoot in like studio environment or environments where my clients need absolute silence, and the camera can still perform with no issue. And I want all these benefits, right, alongside like low light shooting. And yeah, so far I have no issue. Later on, I'll share with you guys a shot. I think this is one of the most challenging shoots that I've done in terms of low light, and we'll talk more later on why I think Micro Four Thirds is not a problem for low light if you know what you're doing. And there are some tips that I can sprinkle around the photo sharing on how to deal with low light and how to capture shots during event or a mini concert. So yeah, definitely look forward to that part. But before that, let me just get to the chat. So I'll open up the question to you guys. We're all different. So for you specifically, personally, do you think Micro Four Thirds and low light photography is a big challenge, or would you prefer to use other system, let's say full frame system? It's not a problem. And I have full frame cameras. I have Nikon Z5. I now have Canon 6D. A friend gave me a Canon 6D, and I have had Canon 5D before. I still have the Nikon D600. So I'm very well aware of what full frame cameras can do, right? And I've tried Nikon Z8, Z9. I've tried Nikon Z6 Mark II, Mark III. I've tried Sony's A7 Mark IV, all these cameras before. Although I don't have them, it doesn't mean that I'm not aware of their capabilities. So if you want to say that, okay, you've tried full frame, you prefer the insurance or confidence or the more latitude they can play with provided by the full frame in terms of low light shooting, high ISO noise handling, I totally get it. But hey, I want to hear from you. It's not just about me. This live conversation is also about what you can say and what you can share with everyone. All right, let me drink more coffee and I'll get to the chat. All right. As usual, I'll get to members first, yeah? And get to members first and then non-members. Gregory says, for the same f number, aperture primes will be brighter because there is less glass to absorb light. The old Olympus 7150 was notorious for having 2.5 stops slower at 135 than the 135 f3.5. Yeah, definitely. This is where the primes have the advantage of gathering more light. So if you are dealing with very difficult situations, you know that you're gonna face low light shooting with your Micro Four Thirds gear again and again. It's like a recurring thing. It's best that you look at prime lenses, and well, good news, Micro Four Thirds is not lack of very good, high quality prime lenses, right? Sunny day lens, yeah. Ryan Capture says, I decided to open up the 1442 today to try and understand how the ribbon cable broke. I figured out the plastic on the cable had shrunk down over time and the wires were touching. Ah, wow. You are like an electrician, electronic engineer, or someone very well versed with this. I don't know, I'm totally hopeless when it comes to electronics. Although I am an engineer, but I'm a civil engineer. I do constructions, buildings, basements, and source stabilizations. Piling, subsurface investigation. I'm totally hopeless when it comes to electronics. That's impressive, Rowan Capture. Gary says, looks like a tropical storm has just passed over Peninsular Malaysia, breaking up, but lots of heavy rain. Yeah, I think the rain is going to continue for the next few days, or at least weeks, right? This is the end of the year. We expect this to happen. And this is also not just the rainy season, but the flood season. So, well, it begs the question, right? What is the government doing? I mean, we know this is coming, and yet it happens again and again, and they're not doing any mitigation or prevention measures. But that's a different story I won't get into. Ryan Capture says, but I would say noise isn't an issue anymore. I had to max out my ISO to get a plain photo. Thought it was ruined. I put it in Lightroom and did pretty well. Yes, a lot of people didn't realize that, hey, you know, like going high ISO is not such a big problem at all. And if you pixel peep, there will be noise. But I always say this as well, noise is not the end of the world. Yes, there's noise in the photo, so what? If you can capture the moment perfectly, or if you can nail the story or convey the emotion that you want to express through that photograph, if it's telling the story that's intended, then I still think it's a great photograph, right? You can have like a moment of a mother and daughter hugging, crying in the dressing room for a wedding day. If it's dark, just crank up to ISO 12,800 or 25,600 and noise is there, who cares? But the moment is there, you can see the tears, they are hugging, and to them that's priceless, right? Rather than not having the shot at all, or blurry shot, right? Also says, I hired for a comedy show and intimate concert for 100 odd people. The 12 to 100 just cannot cut it. 71.2 saved the day. 45 75 slightly helped. I think for low light shooting, later you'll see how I deal with this. I don't know what camera you're using. I use EM1 Mark II. It's 45, 75, f1.8 is more than sufficient usually. And I've shot a lot of comedy shows and concerts as well. And the lighting has never been on my favor. And this time, the one I'm showing is going to be really, 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 really bad. But it makes a difference though if you use an Olympus body versus a Panasonic body. For whatever reason, although it might be the same 20 megapixels camera, if you look at the DxO Mark site as well as the photons to photons, the EM1 Mark II performs way better than the counterparts like GH5 or G9. Right, and I could argue that EM1 Mark II is even better than OM1 and even better than G9 Mark II and GH7. Some parts, not everything, but some parts are high, so it's even better. And I think the gap is not so big now with the newer cameras like GH7, G9 Mark II. Probably you can't see that much of a difference. But if you compare EM1 Mark II versus G9 or anything from Panasonic back then, because G9, GH5 those were the best cameras from Panasonic. Those were flagships. Anything lower will be worse, right? If you compare with EM1 Mark II, there's like a one-stop advantage, and that's huge, right? Yeah, but I'll share more later. I'll so you can see if this can relate to you, if you can learn something, or you can apply some of the tips for your own shooting. Dave says, hi Robin, I think low light oriented cameras like GH5S are still missing. Nah, I don't think GH5S does anything better in low light. It's designed for video. Maybe the way that it handles the low light shooting for video is better, but once you shoot RAW file, I've compared RAW files from GH5S versus, say, RAW files from EM1 Mark II. I prefer the results from EM1 Mark II. Trust me, it's way better than the GH5S. Daryl says, greetings, a 50 f0.95 for $218 have you covered for low light? Nah, no autofocus, no go. Like, you will see later in the shoot, everything is moving. You try to focus, once you nail focus, the person has moved. So you need autofocus to get the shots, right? And to me, it's not about the low light. Low light is never a problem. Like, noise is not a problem. It's the moment that I prioritize. In this case, that manual focus will get me to miss more shots that I like. So no autofocus, no go. Jer says, good evening, Robin. Good evening to you too. How are you? Sunday says, hi, Robin. Been raining a lot. Heard tropical storm coming. Yeah, definitely. Jerry says, I haven't seen much difference in low light between EM5 Mark II and the Canon R7 as they have similar low light performance. With both cameras, I can take low light pictures, clean them up easily. Canon R7 is not a full frame, right? Canon R7 APS-C? Yeah, it's an APS-C. So, well, the difference of size between the Canon R7 and the micro four sensor is like less than 20%. It's like 20% plus, right? So to me, it's like APS-C and micro four thirds. There might be some difference, like slight difference, but it's negligible. And even the EM1 Mark II, if you compare with any of the APS-C cameras, it outperforms a lot of APS-C cameras out there. So micro four thirds sensor has been so optimized that I think APS-C is just redundant, right? But full frame, if you compare with, say, a Nikon Z5 or Z6 or Canon R6, for example, there will be a massive difference between that and the EM5 Mark II. Yeah, I'm doing all right. No worries. No worries. Wilson says, sorry for miswriting. The kit lens of the OM3 is 12 to 45. Is good enough for talking head shots? Depends. Any lens is good for talking head shots. But if I've mentioned earlier, please check out my video that I've posted and the reasoning why I use 45 1.8. That is for me. I'm not saying that you have to do the same thing. But if you are fine with wide angles, seeing everything in the background, the kind of messy shots, that's entirely up to you. That's what everyone is doing as well. But I like to do things differently. Like if you look at my talking head videos, they are definitely very, very, very different. Yeah. Sunday says, low light is an issue for 1442 when taking pictures past 8 o'clock. There is a time, is it? Nah, I think if you are serious about getting the best shots for your clients, then you might want to invest in prime lenses. But if it's just personal shots, doesn't really matter. I also have situations where I just use the kit lens to shoot low light, and I still can get good shots. I've shared about this earlier before. So it's not about the kind of, oh, kit lens is useless for low light. I think that's totally untrue. Dave says, if you want to manage with low light using Micro Four Thirds camera, there's many solutions: noise reduction, additional lighting, big aperture lenses. But if you decide to buy it for low light, choose full frame. Here's the thing, right? Like, I don't mind going to full frame, and I can totally see myself using full frame. And I've said this before, like Nikon Z5 is such a fantastic camera. Like, why doesn't Micro Four Thirds have an equivalent, right? Whether sealed camera body with magnesium alloy body with dual cut slots, and it's like a beginner's price, right? It's not selling like $2,000 over like any of the flagships. But anyway, the point is, I want Micro Four Thirds because it's small. It's way smaller, and there are lenses that are so small and so light that I can just use it more efficiently and more effectively. Plus, the powerful stabilization just opens up a lot more opportunity, right? And for now, that's still unmatched. And I can see where full frame can be advantageous in some situations, but anything that I've done so far, I've never wished that I was using a full frame. I know what they're capable of. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I've never tried them. It's not like I don't have full frame. I have like 5 full frame cameras now. But it's not that I don't know what they can do, right? I know. But I never wish that I was using full frame when I'm dealing with low light. Yeah. Right. Okay, let's see. Toshing says, hi Robin, I use 2 different systems, Canon and Olympus. My Olympus serves me as a travel camera. I'm trying to justify the higher cost of 12-100 over 12-200 or 14-150. Any thoughts? I have videos for 12-100 and 12-200. If you haven't, you can feel free to search up the video on my channel. Maybe I'll just quickly search for you, right? So if you want my thoughts, those are my thoughts, right? Olympus 12-100. Share, copy, and then Olympus 12-200. Here it is. So if you haven't seen this, Toshing, this is Olympus 12-100, and this is Olympus 12-200. Feel free to check out the videos. Coming back to your question, in terms of image quality, 12-100 is the best. But it's also the largest and heaviest. It's also weather sealed. Actually, all 3 lenses are weather sealed. If you go to 14-150 Mark II, not the first version. So all these lenses are weather sealed. 12-100 will give you the best quality. 12-200 will be the most versatile if you treasure just using one lens and you don't want to carry any other lenses. Because 12 and 14, there is a difference. 200 versus 100, that's double the reach. So if you just want one lens, like super versatile, can do everything, 12-200 will be the go-to lens. So you have to ask yourself whether you want versatility or you want ultimate image quality and performance, right? Because 12-100 will be the best out of the best because it has image stabilization, you have 5-axis sync IS, it's the sharpest of all, constant f4 aperture, it's a pro lens, right? Whereas 12-200 is not a pro lens, image quality will not be as good, but it's versatile. Now, 14-150, you only go for it if you need to be strictly on budget. Let's say that, I don't want to spend too much money. I'll look for something in the used market, something below $300. 14-150, easy. One lens to do it all. So if budget is not a concern, I'll advise you to go 12-100 or 12-200. So it's deciding between quality or versatility. But if budget is a big issue, you don't want to spend so much money, then 14-150. All excellent lenses, by the way. No right and wrong choices. Yes, Jerry, EPL8 is a good performer in low light. Not a question, it is a fact. Dave says, the answer also depends on which low light situation we are talking about, photo or video, landscapes or events. Yes, that's what I've mentioned already, right? Your low light and my low light will be different. So that's why I'm asking for your opinion, your particular situation. What do you think? Yeah. Jer says, looking forward to getting more into macro. Pick up the OM1 Mark II and the 60 lens from the OM refurbished shop, 20% off this week. Being delivered this weekend. Awesome. Congratulations on the purchase. And yeah, I've done so many videos on macro. Feel free to check them out. I've shared everything. everything from camera settings, how I set things up, how I light my subjects, how I use different kinds of lighting methods like wireless, off-camera flash, and everything, like even how to get to the shots on the field, right? I've shared everything, so feel free to explore around my channel. Just go to the search box, type macro. I think you can easily find like almost 10 videos on macro already out there. Poor says, I love to hear any tips on focusing with the 90 macro lens. I don't have a 90 macro lens, sorry. Amir says, Asi Payong all the way this week. Do we even have time to shoot, Amir? If I have Asi Payong, I'll probably in Penang. So I won't be here this weekend, Amir. Amir is one of the guys that I always shoot with. Rich says, I just think everything is a toss-up. The size benefit of the lenses and a longer reach means you get a bit less light, but it's worth it to me. Yeah, there will always be compromise, right? You can't have everything at once. So if you get into one system, you have to give up something. If you get into another system, you have some benefits, but you also have some disadvantages. Yep, 75 BG, that is a shape of a lens. This is a Canon 24-105 f4 L lens. Too bad nobody makes like a Micro Four Thirds lenses, so maybe Micro Four Thirds lenses are just too small to be a cup holding water, right? Dave says, Robin tried Z5 Mark II, be surprised at how different it is. It's the same sensor as Z5, I've tried it. It gives me the exact same image quality, like why? I don't see anything different. And Peel says, hey Robin, hey, how are you? Nice to see you here. Wow. AU Mokbel? I don't know how to pronounce the name. A lot matters on how your lens renders highlights too. You want a lens that can keep good contrast with light sources, just spotlights and lamps around it. I mean, the lens quality is one thing, right? We're just talking about general here, like general lens and camera system, like Micro Four Thirds format. Is it good enough for low light? Of course, within Micro Four Thirds, there are good lenses and bad lenses. There are better lenses and there are pro-grade lenses, right? And even within like a full frame system or APS-C, they have like higher grade lenses, they have like lower grade lenses, and you can't really compare all of that. But assuming that you have sufficiently good lenses to work with, assuming that lenses is not a problem, right? So is it an issue for Micro Four Thirds to shoot in low light? That's the question. Like, if you want to talk about all these other things, then the variables will be endless, right? So it's just a general yes and no question. Sneaky? Just want to share that I'm enjoying my EM1 Mark I that I bought from a used market. I must say that it reunites my photography hobby. It's really compact and easy to carry. EM1 was like the first proper professional camera from Olympus. Like, it is still a very good camera today. I wouldn't hesitate to use the camera today as well, right? Astro says, eventually denoise becomes gap closure. I don't agree. But on my dinosaur laptop, it takes 12 minutes to denoise one photo. Remember to go up to 8,000, but that is bad. Thanks for tips. So imagine, right? Like, if you're gonna shoot 8,000 photographs for a wedding, and you're gonna deliver like 1,200 photographs to the couple, to your client, and you're using the denoise software, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Roaring Capture says, night photography with EM1 will be much easier if the screen displayed my settings more effectively. I have view boost off, but I still didn't show the scene properly. Okay. What do you mean you didn't show it properly? Like mine, what I see on the screen is what I get with my EM1. Are you sure something else is not happening? I have no issue though. Yeah. Andrew says, a friend recently gave me her very pristine looking GF3. Now that's my first Micro Four Thirds camera with challenging low light. It could shoot at high ISO, but it has very conservative ISO auto cap. Just break the ISO auto. Don't use ISO auto. Just control it manually. During night shoots, it conservatively goes to ISO 200 only unless I manually change it. Yeah. Had a client wanting action shots in private snooker room. No flash allowed. Can't autofocus to find eyes on OMR 2. Yeah. But that's a different story, right? Like, that's autofocus. That's not terms of low light problem, right? So in that situation, I wouldn't use OM1 Mark II. I will use EM1 Mark II, and I'll just use single autofocus, and I have no issue with autofocus, even in very dim situation. That was the reason why I complained about OM1's autofocus. Now you see what I was talking about, Asru. Even you experienced that the autofocus on the OM1 or OM1 Mark II fails in low light situation. I never had this problem with my EM1 Mark 2. So, but I mean, autofocus is a different discussion altogether. I don't want to get there because, well, the last time I got there, people just come and bash me. Oh, Robin, you don't know how to use the camera. Yeah, I don't know how to use the camera, apparently. What is Atsi Payong? Well, Amir will have to answer that. Robin, is there a Lumix 15 cup holder? That's just too small. Not enough tea, man. It's just too small. More like a shot glass, right? Yeah. Carl says, I bought an EM5 because of you. Oh, thank you. I think it's a great camera. I hope you enjoy the EM5. Dave says, right, but maybe a modern GF5S style low resolution camera could... No. The myth of low resolution camera having better high ISO performance is so wrong. It has been debunked 1,000 times over. Canon R5 Mark II has like how many megapixels? Let's see. 45? 5. How many megapixels? Yes, Canon R5 has 45 megapixels, has better high ISO performance than Canon R6, which has 20 megapixels, so it's more than double the pixel count. Nikon Z8 and Z9 has like 47 megapixels. Let's see, Nikon Z8, how many megapixels? Yes, no, 45.7, let's say 45. Has better high ISO performance than Nikon Z6 Mark III. Right, Sony A7R Mark V that has 61 megapixels has better high ISO performance than a Sony A7 Mark IV or A7 Mark III, which has respectively 24 and 33 megapixels. So history has proven that at least the new ones, the newer cameras, the high megapixel count cameras, they always have better high ISO performance than the cameras that have lower pixel count. Maybe not by much, maybe not like 1-2 stops better, but slightly better. So the myth that, oh, if you want better high ISO performance, you must have lower level or lower pixel count, that is wrong. Another example, I can go on and on and on with all the evidence. I can make this into a full long form video. The first generation Olympus or Micro Four Thirds image sensor was 12 megapixels, right, from EP1, EP2, EP3. Second generation from EM5, EM1 onwards was 16 megapixels. Third generation was 20 megapixels from EM1 Mark II, EM1X, EM1 Mark III. Now we have the fourth generation, although the pixel count remains the same. So from 12 megapixels in the first generation, you go to 16 megapixels in the second generation, let's say the EM5 versus EP3, just 1 year apart. The EM5 has a significant jump in terms of dynamic range and high ISO. It's about almost 2 stops different. And then from EM5 or EM1 to EM1 Mark II, there's another 1-stop jump in terms of dynamic range and high ISO compared to, like, you know, from 20 megapixels versus the 16. So 20 versus 16, hey, you have 4 megapixels more, right? But you still get better high ISO performance. 16 versus 12, you get better high ISO performance. So this myth about you must use low pixel count to have better high ISO is just wrong. Please stop with this myth already. I don't know who started this myth. This may be true like 20 years ago, but now it is totally wrong already. Because the way they make the lenses, and not lenses, sorry, the image sensor, the technology to design, optimize and manufacture the image sensor to collect the light more effectively for each pixel that is collecting the light. It's so different from an image sensor from 10, 15 years ago. So no, please do not go backwards. We need more pixels. Like 20 is barely enough. Please don't go backwards. This is so not acceptable. And Pio says, Robin, I can buy a GH1 for 50 euros. Should I buy it as a hobby camera to get me used to how camera work, or should I just use the Phone Pro? Go for the GH1. Why not? I think it's a great camera. Yeah. Eldon says, hi Robin, no issue to shoot in low light. Lightroom has impressive denoise. We can get very good pictures by using workarounds such as shooting in high-res mode. High-res mode is totally useless. Like, I can only use it in 1% of the things that I shoot. Everything that I shoot moves, right? Humans move, events, I'm shooting events, stage photography, even portrait photography, I can't use high-res mode. It's totally useless for me, right? If things that don't move there, I might as well just use a tripod, right? Not an issue. Dave says, don't think there's another blogger who can answer almost any question by sharing a link to his own video. Well, I've been around for some time, and in terms of the Micro Four Thirds universe, I've explored as much as I can. I whatever cameras or lens that I can get my hands on, I'll try to do something with it, and then I share with you guys, right? So yeah. Right, just says could make a big cup out of a 300 f4. That could be a jug, right? Like pour out like tea or something. Terry says, Robin, I have an EM1 Mark II. Is there any reason to consider the OM3 to improve low light photography? No. Autofocus is not better, and image quality, I think the EM1 Mark II is still superior. No reason whatsoever. Like between OM1 and EM1 Mark II, I still use EM1 Mark II as my main camera for my jobs. Yeah. With a beer glass. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Clamoro says, I can't decide which model to get, OM5 versus OM1. Well, OM1 is the best of the best. OM5 is not. So if budget is not an issue, then OM1. If you don't want to spend too much money, then OM5. But I would say this though, OM1 has better tech, has newer sensor, it's faster, better stabilization, better build quality because it's metal. OM5 is plastic. OM1 also has better electronic viewfinder, faster burst rate, dual cut slots. OM5 only has a single cut slot. Overall, I would say that OM1 is all-rounded a better camera, but if size is not an issue, I mean, it's not size, sorry. If budget is not an issue, go for OM1. But if you really think that you don't want to spend so much money on a camera, then OM5 is a good camera. If you are a professional photographer, if you're doing jobs, OM1, no brainer, right? It has dual cut slots, beefier hand gripping area, dual, everything is, even the viewfinder is so much better. So it's more designed for a professional use versus the OM5. This may not be relevant, but I have made a video about EM1 Mark II versus EM5 Mark III. I know it's not the same, but the general concept applies to OM5 versus OM1 as well. So I'm gonna find the video EM1 Mark II versus EM5. If I can find it, yes. So if you want to see the difference, you can check out this video, EM1 Mark II versus EM5 Mark III, right? So please check it out. Hopefully this will answer your question about OM1 and OM1. Oh, sorry, OM1 versus OM5. Kent says, EM1 Mark III, OM1 Mark I. I have a budget, may invest OM1 Mark II for job purposes. All right, I'll still rather use the EM1 Mark II for my jobs rather than OM1 or OM1 Mark II. All right, I'm going to start sharing my photographs now because there's a lot to share. It's like almost the full set that I deliver to my clients. And this particular job I did, this shoot was done more than 1 year ago. I think it's beginning in 2024. And it was in this environment. It's like a mini concert, very intimate, like what Asru said. And in this situation, the only lighting available are table lamps. Table lamps, which I normally complain about, not just low light, but in this, I also will talk about the quality of light, the direction of light. And low light is one problem. I'm not going to deny it. It's going to be very dark. You'll see later. I actually shared these photographs before, but anyway, low light is one problem. But the bigger problem here is that the light comes from bottom. It's not from top. Like now you see this lighting is so good, right? Because I'm facing a large softbox from the top, right? It's like a proper directional, nice side light, right? So that's what we want as photographers. But when the light comes from bottom, it seems like, you know, those scary horror movies where there's a torchlight, people running in the woods, torchlight just shine up on the face. It looks very, you know, like, and all the harsh shadows on the face. That's the kind of look that I get from the table lamp, because when the singers are performing, they are standing and the tables are low and the lamp shines from bottom up. So that kind of lighting is not just low light that's a problem, but the direction of the light is another problem, poor lighting. This job is not new. Sorry, this particular shoot is not new. Again, I apologize because I don't have time to create new photographs to share. The last weekend I had some jobs, and this week has been raining whole week. Even today I have some free time. I was free all day actually. I wanted to go in the morning, rain, afternoon rain, so I have to recycle some old shots. I admittedly have shared these photographs before, so it may look familiar to some of you. But the message is clear, and this particular shoot fits what we want to discuss tonight perfectly. And of all the recent shoots that I did in the past 1 or 2 years, this was the most challenging. And I was using EM1 Mark II. I'll tell you what lens I used through the photographs. Panasonic 9 f1.7, 15 1.7, 25, Olympus 25 1.8, 45 1.8, and 75 1.8 with EM1 Mark II, right? No flash, everything handheld. All right, let's get to the photographs. All right, so that's the first shot. You can see the table lamp there. That's the only source of light. And let me see if I can bring up the... You won't be able to see the metadata, but I can tell you this was 45 1.8, ISO 1600, 1/60th of a second, which is not a very wise thing to do, because for these situations, I normally would prefer to shoot at 1/200 and above. It means if I want to shoot at 1/200 and above, I need ISO 6400. But I intentionally lower down the ISO because this particular singer, Nish, he was not moving that much. He was quite still for this particular moment. So I dropped down the ISO to maximize image quality. Yeah, so that's Nish, right? 45. Oh, by the way, composition, because it's a place with a crowd, and being the official photographer, you have some flexibility of moving through the crowds. So sometimes when you frame a shot, instead of getting a clean shot, you can shoot the performer through the crowd. Like you can see the foreground of two people here in between, the shadow in front. This foreground added layer, which will create more depth to the photograph. Like you are actually there, seeing through the gap of these two people sitting in front of you, right? So just some tips on composition that I'm throwing around. Nothing to do with low light, right? This shot, also 45 1.8, 1/60th of a second, ISO 1600. Not too bad, because still ISO 1600. You can see the lamp on the table. You can see how the light shines on her cheek. It was so bad. I don't like the direction of the light, but I have no choice, right? I really have no choice in this situation. This is Bichu, my friend. I've been shooting her a lot. I've done a lot of shoots for her, and every time I shoot her, it's always a very happy, very, very happy activity for me to do. She's such a wonderful friend, and she's an amazing performer, a fantastic singer. I just love her voice, and I'm just very thankful that every time she has something, a show or whatever, she'll invite me to shoot, and it's just, we have just this very, very good relationship, and I'm very thankful to be shooting for her all this time. Very, very privileged to be a friend. So yeah, hopefully she likes the photos. I guess she does. If not, she won't be coming back to me, right? This the third performer. There were three people on stage: Nish, Bichu, and this is Sasa. Her name is Melissa, but they call her Sasa. Right? Again, I'm shooting through the gap of people. I know it's quite messy. There are bottles and glass on the table, but that's the reality. And sometimes you don't exclude too much from the shoot. You have to include all these details because this happened to be in a bar, and people are seated down with drinks and food, and that's the environment that you have to capture and present together with the singers, not just the singers themselves, right? Okay, next shot. And this was taken with the... Wait, I have to change here as well. Sorry. This was 9 f1.7, 1/25th of a second, ISO 1600. Imagine ISO 1600 of this scene. I need 1/25th of a second at f1.7. 1/25th of a second. In this shot, if I zoom in, you'll see some blur, but it doesn't really matter because everything is so far away, so that's fine. And for events, it's very important to have a wide angle lens, like 9 f1.7 or anything wider, so you capture the entire environment so you can feel like you can see everything clearly, right? I have another wide angle shot as well, and it's important for you as a photographer to move around. So this is one particular angle. I'll show you the next one. And it is another different angle to show the entirety of the place. So you need an ultra wide angle. You just need the lens. Some people say, I don't understand how people can say, oh, I don't like to use wide angle lens. I'd rather use 28. Anything wider than that, I don't like to use. I won't use it. I'm like, but when you need it, right? It's the same with the long lens. Some people say, oh, I just shoot at 200. It's enough. I don't need anything longer. But then again, like, there are times when you do need to reach longer. In that situations, the right lens will get the right job. And if 200 can't cut it, you're going to use 400, 600 to get the shot, right? It's like, oh, 28 is enough, but then 28 is definitely not. My back is already pressing on the wall to get this shot, right? I can't get any wider. Of course, I wish I have a 714, but it doesn't really matter. 9 is good enough for this shot. You can't say, oh, I don't shoot anything wider than that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, I don't understand. If you need it, you need it. There's a reason why the lens exists, right? So anyway, like, important to capture a wide angle shot to show everything. This was 9 f1.7 at f1.7, 1/25th of a second. ISO 1600, by the way. This is, let me see. This is 75 1.8. ISO 6400, 1/100 of a second. Not a very safe number because she moves a lot. She moves a lot, right? So imagine this is f1.8, ISO 6400, and 1/100 of a second. If I let's say if I use a f2.8 lens, I will need to use maybe ISO 12800 or maybe ISO 25600 to get this shot. All right. So by using an f1.8 lens, instead of using ISO 12800 or 25600, I can get away with ISO 6400. So yeah. Okay. Next shot. Again, these are all 75 1.8 because I want to get really close. So you get a mix of like really zoom in shots of the performer and some wider shots covering the environment. It's very important to give a variety of shots to your client, right? It is also 75 1.8, right? It is 1/120th of a second, 1/25th of a second, sorry, and ISO 6400. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Same again, 75 1.8. Just gonna go through. And it's important for you to capture all these different facial expression of the singer. Like the way they express themselves is very, very important. All these small changes of facial expression, it just shows different kind of emotion and expression. I think it adds to the variety of shots and adds to the drama of the entire series of presentation. Still 75 1.8, ISO 6400, nothing changed. Wait, something is... Alright. And this is Nish. He's an awesome music director. 75 1.8, ISO 6400, 1/160th of a second. Yeah. Nish. 75 1.8, like seriously, it beats 40 to 150 all the time. All the time. And I have never found that 75 1.8 is not sufficient. If it's not sufficient, then yeah, 40 to 150 will definitely have to be the lens, the next lens that you use. Yeah, but so far, no issue whatsoever. This is back to 45 1.8, ISO 6400, no problem. All right. Again, you see the difference between this shot and this shot earlier. This is like super close-up shot of Nish, just showing a little bit of the hand on the keyboard and the mouth singing on the microphone. And something very important to note, if you're shooting a singer, it's very important for you to show that the singer is singing. The mouth must be open, right? So there's no point for the mouth to be closed. And it's also another thing to try to avoid the microphone from covering the mouth like they're eating an ice cream. Try to shoot in an angle that you can see everything clearly. Now, this is a close-up shot, and then this is another more environmental shot of seeing the lamp in front. It's very important because they call this the table lamp concert. And you can see the keyboard and overall almost like half body of Nish performing on the keyboard while still singing. So give a different kind of variety of shot, right? It is 45 1.8. Like it's just quickly changing lens. Like I can change lens so fast and I can reap the benefits of all this f1.8. So no issue whatsoever. But I understand not a lot of people are comfortable in changing lens. Some people, they will do this, right? When they change lens, this is what they do. They'll like, let me just put this away. They're like, and then they'll like put the thing down, and they'll take another lens, and like when they put it down, they'll be like, If you're that kind of person, maybe stick with zoom lens. For me, if I want to change lens, automatically, even before I look at the camera, my fingers are already on the release latch. And when it's already pressing down here, my right hand comes in, twist, down. Take another lens, good to go. Like, you know, I'm so effective in doing this already. Like, I can do this with my eyes closed, right? So it's like, okay, another lens, put this, chuck into the back, take the lens, whatever I want, put it in, and continue shooting. So I understand that it takes practice. It takes some time to get used to it, to be really efficient in changing lenses. If you're not there yet, maybe you can start practicing first with a non-critical shoot, not a job, like shooting other things, keep changing lenses. Once you are comfortable with it, then you can do that in a real job, right? Okay, coming back to the photograph. Okay, more Bichu performing. This is 45 1.8. And the good thing also, not just to show her alone, but also to show her together with her bandmates, right, her teammates, other musicians around her, which is very important because she's not performing alone, right? And of course, whenever there's a hand gesture, it's very important to capture that. And yeah, different hand gesture as well, 45 1.8, 6400 ISO. Yeah, this is about 1/200th of a second, right? So we're going to go through quickly, and different angle. See, just now was from the other side. Now I've come to this side to shoot Sasa. All right, so different angle to get a different kind of vibe, different kind of composition, different angle as well. All right, you have to move. You have got to move. Same angle, but different kind of, what do you call that? Different expression, different moment. Okay, Sasa again, make sure that the mouth is open because she is singing. This is 45 1.8. Okay. Wait. What happened? Right. And go close, 75 1.8, right? We've heard the guitar singing, right? Go close, it's 75 1.8, 1/60th of a second. Now, again, from a different angle, this is slightly from the front, Nish. He's singing as well, 75 1.8. This is 1/60th of a second. Very dangerous. So in this kind of shots, just spam away. Just click, 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 click. You'll get a lot of shots. Some of them will be blurred because of the movement. Some of them will be text sharp. So just click away. Like don't be conservative with the shutter, right? Just click away. If the shutter dies, just change it. It will die eventually, right? So just click, 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 click. Don't worry so much, because if you worry about conserving your battery life or your camera shutter or whatever, that's what's holding you back from getting the moments, right? So you shouldn't be worrying about all these things like, oh, I can't click too much. If you want to click, you click. Yeah. And again, expression, very important to capture all these expressions. And in order to get this impactful expression, you have to go really close. And this was 75 1.8 is like the perfect lens for this, right? It's 1/100th at 6400 ISO. Yeah. Again, different kind of expression, very important while she's singing, very, very, very important. And Sasa as well, close out while she's singing, and you see the face is so expressive. Very, very, very important as well, these kind of shots. Okay, 75 1.8, of course. And look at this, again, different kind of expression, different emotion, laughter, smiling. All this you have to capture as a photographer. All these are important moments for the band. 75 1.8. This is 45 1.8, I believe. Yeah, this is 45 1.8. You can see how 45 1.8 and 75 1.8 can give you different kind of compositions, different kind of coverage, different kind of feel. It's not like one lens is better than the other. It's not like, oh, I prefer 75 1.8. No, you need both lenses. Both lenses will give you different kind of shots, and both shots are important, right? And that's why I keep changing in between, and these are chronologically arranged. So you see I keep changing back and forth between 75, 45, 75, 45, 75, 45 all this time, because this is not a time to use wide angle, so I don't really care about wide angle here, right? Yeah. So yeah, I can see all different kinds of emotions, all different kinds of expressions. It's 75 again, all right? 75 again. All right, gonna go through because it's very, very, like, I love it when they have their face strained like that. It's like, oh, that's the kind of shots that will convey very powerful energy. Like, oh, she's really, really screaming her soul out, right, through her voice. And these are the kind of shots that I always aim for and try to capture as best as I can. Move! You have got to move your ads as a photographer. So there's a mezzanine floor, so I went all the way up to capture this shot, right? So you can see the performer is surrounded by the table lamps, and yeah, and all the other audience around the side. And this is 9 f1.7, of course, 1/6 of a second. ISO 400. It may be blur, I don't care if this shot is blur, but because it's so far away, I'm not going to pixel peep. I don't think my clients will pixel peep as well. It doesn't matter if you can't see the faces here. That's not the intention of this photograph. It's just to show the environment of the location. It's to show what you see overall from a higher perspective, right? So yeah, move. You have to move to get different shots. Once you're up there, zoom all the way down. This is the, I think it's 75, 1.8, 1/60th of a second. ISO 3200. So zoom all the way down, right? And capture all the different kind of shot from high angle, low angle, from move all around the artist. That's very, very important. Right. And this is, wait. This is 15, 1.7. Ah, finally, I changed to 15. I realized 9 is a little bit too wide, which already given you the overall look, right? And sometimes for this kind of shots, you don't want to be too wide. You want to go a little bit closer. And 75, of course, you're going to go like super close, zone in into the singer, right? So you want a bit more environment. 15 will be the best lens for this situation. ISO 1250, 1/20th of a second. Yeah. Similar shot, just a different moment. I think this is also 75. Oh no, this is 45, 1.8. So 45, 1.8 can see the singer and a few people at the front row, which is really interesting. So different focal lengths will give you different kind of coverage. And yeah. Right, 45, 1.8. And I'm back on the ground. 45, 1.8 again. 45, 1.8. All right. Again, 45, 1.8, all the different kind of expression. And this is 15, 1.7. So I switched to 15 so I can see a bit more of the audience. Now, the audience is very important because if you don't shoot the crowd, if there's no crowd, then what are the singers or the performers performing for? Who are they singing to, right? So the crowds and the audience, they make the show happen, right? They are important part of the environment. So you must take shots of the crowd or people attending the show. It's very, very, very important. Yeah. And you can use wide angle. You can use something like this, 15, 1.7. Right, 15.7. So I can see here, I can see 3 of the performers on stage with some people in the foreground, right? So that's the kind of composition that I was going for. And yeah, going back to the super close-up, 75, 1.8, 125th of a second, ISO 6400, right? More expression. I just love it when she does this. I love expressive faces. More expression again. Yeah, just love it. And I think this is 9 f1.7. Some shots I go wide angle. All right. And 15, 1.7. You can see the difference of the composition between 9 and 15. All right. And this is also 15, 1.7. You can see niche with all the performance surrounding him. All right. And yeah, it's 15, 1.7. And then suddenly the turn off the lights. This is where I need to use ISO 12,800 at 1/100 of a second. 12,800. Of course, there's noise. What can I do? I don't like the lights. It just suddenly turned purple. Everything is just so bad, right? Yeah. This is also ISO 12,800. Oh, my goodness. Not only ISO 12,800, but this was 1/20th of a second? Am I seeing this right? My goodness, 1/20th of a second. 12,800 f1.8. If this is not low light, I don't know what is. And it tracks because if you look at the previous shot, here Bichu is actually underexposed and Sasa is properly exposed. And this already balanced the shot, already increased the shadows, right? So the next shot, my focus was on Bichu, not Sasa. So this shot, Bichu was in focus. I need her to be bright. So I dropped the shutter speed from, let's see, 1/100 to 1/20th of a second so that Bichu is properly lit. 1/20th of a second. Not the best shutter speeds. I would probably go higher just to freeze motion. But I think when I click the shutter button, I did not properly see the number. But just to put into perspective, how low light is low light? ISO 12,800 at 1/20th of a second, f1.8. right? This is again 1 over 20th of a second, 75 f1.8. wait, let me see. No, this is 1/5, not 1/20th. This is 1/50th of a second, but 45 1.8 now instead of 75. This is 45 1.8, 1/50th of a second. ISO 12,800. That's how dark it was. Oh, they turned the light back on. Thank goodness. Now I can drop my ISO to 6400 instead of 12,800. And this was 75 1.8 at 1/60th of a second. And whenever there's people laughing, like Nish puts his hand on the mouth, covering the mouth, and then look at people behind there clearly laughing on a joke. Capture that moment as well. That moment is very important. It's not just when they're performing, you have to take the shot when they're talking, when they're making jokes, they were trying to connect to the audience. That connection, that kind of energy is also very important to be captured, right? You have to capture what happens. That's your job as a photographer. Yeah. And of course, laughter again. You can see all of the audience grinning in the background. And then Nish, he's also laughing in this particular shot, which adds a lot of positive, warm energy to the series of photographs, right? And again, I said it's very important to show the audience. So just a random capture, just capture around random shots of the audience. Doesn't really have to be like anything spectacular. When the audience is reacting, it's also very important. This is 45 1.8, ISO 2200, 1/40th of a second, right? And this is during intermission. Something that I think Nish was having some neck problems, and Bichu was massaging him in between the shows. It was such a funny moment. So whatever happens, like in between sets, and like as long as it's nothing too something too private or something that you're not supposed to show. Moments like this is funny. It adds a lot of human connection. Like it makes them human, right? Like it takes a lot of energy to perform, to sit upright on the piano, right? And the back and the neck hurts. Like we are all human, right? And it's just so funny. You see, like the main singer Bichu is massaging Nish, which is really, really interesting. So yeah, moments, guys. Remember to capture moments. It's just a typical shot of someone recording the show, right? And more shots of Bichu. We're coming to the end already. More shots of Bichu on the other angle. Again, I'm trying to give as many different angles as possible, things that I have not done before, right? I'm not even showing you guys the full set. This is 75 1.8, obviously very far away. ISO 6400, ISO 6400 again, 1/100th of a second, 45 1.8, all right? And it's also ISO 6400, yes, 45 1.8, ISO 6400 at 1/100th of a second. Again, you can see all these different expressions, and yeah, this is 9 1.7. You go close, ISO 6400, and going up again. I guess you guys see this already. And yeah, we're coming to the end already, the last few shots. Group photo, very important. So I use the 15 1.7. I can get close without having too much distortion. Everything still looks proportionate. Everything still looks nice. Just that the lighting, I wish could be a little bit better because the lighting is coming from bottom up. You can see that the shadows are all in the wrong places on the face. I can't control that. And in this kind of situation, you're not really allowed to use flash or additional lighting. The place is already so cramped. I don't know if you saw the earlier photos of the whole place. Let me see if you can find, like, see everything is like shoulder to shoulder. There's not much place to move around. So if I carry in my lighting equipment, I don't think the people of the place will be happy, right? Yeah, they're doing some crazy poses here, and they hug, so capture the moment as well. So those are the shots that I've taken with EM1 Mark II for this particular session for Bichu. I hope you've enjoyed this particular sharing. I've shared how I dealt with low light. You can see some situations I was shooting at ISO 12,800 at f1.8 at 1/20th of a second. If that is not low light, I don't know what low light is. And I don't think I've dealt with anything worse than this before. And this is one of the most challenging ones that I've actually shot. And I delivered those shots to my clients and they were happy. And throughout the entire session is mostly ISO 6400. I managed to keep at ISO 6400, 1/100th of a second shutter speed at f1.8 because of the prime lens that I use. If I use zoom lens, I cannot achieve this, right? And I try not to go above 6400, just try to stay there as much as I can. All right, let me drink some coffee and then I'll get to the chat. Coffee. All right, let's go to the chat. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Let's see. Ryan Casual says, my prime plan is 17, 45, 75. My most used focal lengths are around those three. I do wish there was a 150 prime around f2. I think 75 was more than sufficient for most of the jobs that I did, because as the official photographer, you get to move around. I don't have the 40-150 Pro anymore, but I do have the 40-150R. Not ideal, but if I need to reach, then 40-150R will be the main lens. I can zoom to 150, which is very generous. I do have 75-300, which I never brought to jobs. And yeah, I think 17 is just not wide enough for this kind of environment. You do need some wide angle shots. When you're shooting for a client, when you're shooting for someone, you need to have a variety of shots. And usually establishing the location is very important. People want to see what that place is. And usually 17 is not enough, right? Gary says, I'm glad the guy in the background is attentive and not checking his phone. Well, Bichu is a really good singer, so yeah, I'm sure when she sings, people will pay attention, right? Juliet, hey, how are you? Nice to see you here. Juliet says, hi, having great shots. I joined a little late. Do you use auto ISO? No, I control the ISO manually. I use aperture priority for most of these shots. I keep an eye on the shutter speeds and adjust the ISO and exposure composition on the fly, right? Andrew says, lovely shots. Thanks for explaining each and every one of them on which lenses you use and the settings. Very informative. No worries, no worries. I share as much as I can, Andrew. Hopefully you find something useful that you can apply for your particular job. Z5 Mark II sensor is more than Z6 Mark II. Is backside illuminated? Nah, I think Z5 and Z5 Mark II in terms of image quality is about the same. Autofocus performance is better, of course. I'm not denying that. I don't mention the screen and video capabilities. Yeah, I think no denying Z5 Mark II is a better camera. I've never said it isn't. I'm just saying in terms of image quality, low light performance, I think Z5 and Z5 Mark II is basically the same and no difference if you really compare it, right? Mokbel says, Robin, tell us what you put in your dream Micro Four Thirds camera. Depends though. If it's something that I use for jobs, will be an EMR Mark II with an updated sensor, maybe a 35 megapixel sensor or 33 megapixel sensor on an EMR Mark II with maybe one stop better dynamic range and high ISO. I'll be very, very happy. And better autofocus, right? Something as good as Canon or Sony. They'll be fantastic. I'll be very, very, very happy already. But if it's something that I just use for fun, then maybe it's something like a Panasonic GM1, updated sensor, autofocus performance, I'll be happy already with that. Yeah. Also, I shoot all my indoor events in black and white because I hate color grading indoor light. Well, if you're shooting for yourself, you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to say anything, but when you shoot for someone else and you show everything in black and white and the client will like, what are you doing? Is this a funeral or a mini concert? JTech says, good morning, Rob. Good morning to you too. How are you? Graham says, what about shooting small birds in low light that are fast moving? I am not a wildlife photographer. Go to the 1,000,001 OM ambassadors that shoot birds. There are so many out there. Ask them. You shouldn't be asking me. Linda says, hi Robin, will you say that the autofocus of EM5 Mark II or OM5 is as bad in low light as OM1? No. I think it's not fair to talk about EM5 Mark II because EM5 Mark II is already an outdated camera that was like how many years ago, right? I think it's 2014. I remember this. It's 2014, so it's a 11 years old camera. But OM5 is a new camera. So, I mean, it's launched like 3 years ago, something like that, 2-3 years ago. So OM5's autofocus, I would rank it better than OM1 in low light. Single autofocus in low light, not just low light, in low contrast situation, right? And I've compared OM1 versus EM5 Mark III. So OM5 and EM5 Mark III is basically the same camera, like 99% the same, right? So if you haven't seen this video, I actually compared this. Let me find OM1 CF. Yes. Share. Copy. So yeah. CF, what else? I remember I have 3 videos to show this, but let me just put one here. You can easily find the rest, right? OM1 versus EM5 Mark III. So if you haven't seen this, Lindar, please check it out. So it's basically same with OM5 versus OM1 there. Okay. Andrew says, I was quite tempted with the 75 1.8, but I'll just hang on a while. It's more what want than need, I know. I think if you are a working photographer, you do a lot of stage, and if you need to reach, it's a fantastic lens. But if you don't need a long lens, if it doesn't help you in whatever that you do, then it's just going to be a lens that's going to sit in the shelves or sit inside your dry box and do nothing, right? That's one comment that Rob Track said when I said that, oh, I love my 75 1.8. He said, why? He has that lens and he's never used it at all. I mean, for him, yes, but for me, I use it all the time. Like, I don't see how I can leave that lens behind. I need that lens for my jobs, right? And again and again, I keep showing shots taken with the 75 1.8. So if you need it, it's a fantastic lens. I guess buying lenses is more like whether you need it. If you don't need it, then maybe you shouldn't be getting that lens because it's just going to be a waste, right? Gregor says, wonderful images, Robin. You make me really want to see Bichu live with my own eyes in Penang or KL. This was in KL. And hopefully she performs when you are in Kuala Lumpur next year. I'll keep you updated. I'll check with Bichu if she has any shows coming up. And if she's performing, I'll definitely let you know how to get tickets and locations of the performance. Sharing my daughter who loves live music. Yeah. Gary says, you need the 75. Need is a very dangerous word to use, right? 75 BG says, I'm going to have some family dinner soon, so I'll leave, but I hope to be back. Anyway, thank you, Robin. It was interesting and fun to have chat with you. You're a positive guy. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have learned a thing or two from the photo sharing session. And please have a wonderful family dinner. I think it's Thanksgiving, right? Are you celebrating Thanksgiving? So happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Hope you have a fantastic time with your family. And Peel says, wish you had a video to show us what she was singing. I did, actually. Let me see, playlist. So, fun fact, before I started making YouTube videos, I actually, not their music, Bichu, yes. Let me see if I can share this. I actually started shooting for recording video for my friends using various Micro Four Thirds cameras. I don't know how do I share this playlist? I can't share this playlist. Playlist saved to library. I'm not sure if you can just use this playlist. Let me see. Bichu playlist. Let's see. I hope you can, MPU. See if you can open this link. Or, I also have EM10 Mark IV's sample 4K recording, which was Bichu. Yeah, I used Bichu as my test subject for the EM10 Mark IV review. Let's see. Come on, where is it? Is it still out there? 4K video! No, that's not the one. Was it EM10 Mark IV though? Let me see. Mark IV. Bichu. Maybe it was. Let me see. Let me just open it. Give me some time, yeah? Let me just verify this before I just throw this to everyone. Yes. Okay, let me share this. EM10 Mark IV Bichu. Alright. There you go. So you can find her performing here as well. Or you can check out her music, right? You can go to Bichu's YouTube or Spotify. Let me just go to Spotify. Spotify Bichu. Yeah, this is Bichu's Spotify. You can check out all her music there on her Spotify. It's free, so yeah, go and follow her. I think she needs the follow. All right. No, Andrew, you shall not resist. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Anthony says, when my son was in minor hockey in the past, my favorite lens for low light was 75 1.8. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great sports lens as well. Like if you have the distance to work with, and f1.8 helps you to gather more light, right? Wow, how do you pronounce this? Jojo Raptis? Jojo's Raptis? Jojo Raptis say, you're the most honest on YouTube. I trust you 100% about photography and gear. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. Credibility is very important to me. I try my best to maintain my integrity. I don't want to sell out. Like, I don't know, some people, I see some friends, some of my peers, right? It's like, oh, today Nikon is the best camera. And tomorrow they dump Nikon and move to Sony. Oh, Sony is like the best next thing ever. And then like 3 days later, oh, I dump all my Sony gear. I'm moving on to Canon. Canon is the next best thing. It's like, oh, whichever brand that pays them, they'll say nice things about that brand. And like, what the hell? So I hope that after even I've left Olympus in, I think 2 or 3 years ago when I quit, right? I still use Olympus gear, OM system gear. I still continue to support Micro Four Thirds because I genuinely believe in Micro Four Thirds. I hope that matters, right? Anthony says, I would love to see a weather sealed version of 75 1.8. Yes! Not just 75 1.8, right? 45 1.8, 12 f2. I think all these lenses deserve weather sealing as well, definitely. Anthony says, right now I do landscape and wildlife photography, mostly use 150 to 600, 12 to 100. It's my new OM1 Mark II. All right, landscape and wildlife, both fantastic genres of photography. Oh, I missed some messages at the top. Isaac says, greetings. What are your thoughts on adapting 4/3 lenses on Micro Four Thirds body with face detect autofocus? I've been finding lots of good deals on Japanese market and I'm really tempted to buy them. I did one video on this. Let me just find 14 to 54. Or maybe I've taken it down. Sorry if I have. 14 to 54. One was 3 years ago. I remember I did one with OM1 quite recently. I may have taken it down. 1454, 1454, 1454. I may have taken it down. But I did one. This was 3 years ago. If I'm not wrong, I tested this on EM1 Mark III. Let's see. So all the DSLRs. Yes, no, EM Mark II. So I tested. Okay. 4/3 lens. 14 to 54 mm f2.8 through 3.5 on EM1 Mark II. So this was quite some time ago, right? So check it out if you have not done. So I have one newer one. It may be a members only video. So let me quickly check if I can find it. 1454, 1454, 1454. 1454. I don't think I can find it. Let me go to studio. One last effort to find that video. It may be members only video. Because the video wasn't doing well, unfortunately. Okay. One last effort. Come on, it's loading so slow. Okay, search. Where is it? Visibility, members. And search. Monetization, views, title. Contains 1454. Oh yeah, members only video. December 4th, 2023. Sorry, it's members only video, but I'll just share it anyway. 14, this was tested on OM1 by the way, 1454 mm on OM1. This is members only video, sorry about that. Right. When I tested in OM1, when I used the human face in eye detect, it was actually quite okay. I get about maybe 60-70% hit rate, which is actually very good. Of course, you can't expect higher. his cameras were not optimized for 4/3. I really encourage you to use Micro Four Thirds native lenses instead of adapting 4/3 lenses if you can. I understand that you want to save on the lenses, right? Because these older lenses are so cheap and it's abundantly available. But these lenses, in terms of autofocus, they were not optimized for Micro Four Thirds. They are also a lot larger. So you will come into a lot of problems like maybe it's not compatible with stacking, it's not compatible with pro capture mode, and continuous autofocus is not really that optimized in some of the AI subject detection, right? So if that's the case, then it's going to cause some problem, and you can't predict because there's so many lenses out there. One problem may exist in one lens, it may not exist on another. There's another problem with adapting to lenses, right? The adapter also causes some problem. Like every time you put an adapter on a camera, it compromises the image stabilization. It compromises some other things, right? So I don't really recommend using the 4/3 lenses. If you can, go for Micro Four Thirds lenses. And honestly, in the used market, a lot of the Micro Four Thirds lenses, the prices have come down so much, whether it's from Panasonic or Olympus. Like 1240, you can get one for a very good price. All the prime lenses, you can get very, very low price. I think that it's worth considering getting Micro Four Thirds lenses because these Micro Four Thirds lenses, not only they are smaller and lighter, but in terms of image quality, autofocus performance, and everything else, they are optimized for Micro Four Thirds cameras, right? That's still my main suggestion. If you have some 4/3 lenses lying around, like I have the 14-54, which I use with my E1, which is DSLR. So if I port it over to the OM1 just for fun, it makes sense. But for my serious jobs, if I want to use a zoom lens, I'll still go to 12-40 f2.8 Pro. So I have some older 4/3 lenses which I adapt just for fun, but I'm not going to use them for anything serious. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, let's see. One Punch Gem says, "Hi Robin, hey, how are you?" Nice to see you here. Anthony says, even that I'm pleased with the Mark II. I believe OM system need to move forward with a new sensor with minimum resolution of 26 megapixels or more to while maintain the current Micro Four Thirds user base. Yeah, they have a 47 megapixels Micro Four Thirds sensor floating around, manufactured by Sony, announced in 2017, 2019. It seems like they're not doing anything with that sensor. I'm sure there are many other sensors floating around which Sony has manufactured, but nobody seems to want to pick them up, and they just keep using or recycling the old tech over and over again. And I guess it's just one of the strategy to minimize cost and try to maximize profit, right? One Punch Gem says, just bought the first Micro Four Thirds camera. I use EPL5 and pair it with the manual 51.8. Loving it. I guess if you love manual focus, that's fine, but I cannot work with manual focus. Life is too short for manual focus, so no autofocus, no go for Robin. Juliet says, I don't know if you remember, but I tested the ZF and 28-400 versus OM3 and 75-300. Yes, for my trip. Did you do the test already? Even without the image stabilization, Z50 was nicer IQ overall, but Micro Four Thirds skill is better at autofocus at long end. Still want to upgrade a lens. Because the Z50... okay, so actually, I guess that's the testament to the 28-400 lens, right? Oh, but you tested the ZF, not the Z50. Now I'm confused. Was it ZF or Z50? If you're saying ZF, I'm not surprised it's better because it's full frame. But you're saying the Z50 is better, so you're saying with no image stabilization, you get better image quality. I guess that's the testament of the lens. Maybe the 28-400 is a really good lens compared to 75-300. The image quality is only limited not by image sensor, but the lens. And admittedly, 75-300, as much as I love that lens, I've praised that lens a lot, but if you zoom into 300, the longest end, anything past 200, there is some softness. I think that's the general knowledge, right? Yeah, and of course, autofocus is better, and with image stabilization, when you get blurry images, no matter how good the image quality is, it doesn't really matter anymore. Yes, Z50 ended up taking a ZF, but still need more reach. Okay. But ZF stabilization is fantastic, It has really fantastic stabilization. Yeah. Anthony says, I see An overall big improvement with my Mark II over the original EM1. Of course, before a brain to a new camera, I usually wait 2 to 3 generations to see a significant improvement. That is a massive improvement. Different sensor, 20% bump in resolution, which although it's not a lot, but it is significant, 20 versus 16, and yet you get better dynamic range and better high ISO performance. And I can argue that the EM1 Mark II, even today, is one of the best Micro Four Thirds camera with the image sensor out there in terms of dynamic range and high ISO. It can go toe-to-toe with the latest cameras from even like G9 Mark II, GH7, and even OM1 Mark II. That sensor in the EM1 Mark II is fantastic. And it's already so fast. It can go to 60 frames per second. People say, oh no, OM1 is so fast, but like, EM1 Mark II was never slow. 60 frames per second was never slow. Full RAW, by the way, RAW capture. And with minimal rolling shutter, like if you've seen the test done by DP Review and any other sites, the rolling shutter on the EM1 Mark II is very minimal. The silent shutter extension is so good already, right? Yeah, so not just that, right? So from EM1, if you go to EM1 Mark II, dual cut slots versus single cut slot, I'll argue that it has so many new features like high-res shot, pro capture mode, which can make a difference. It depends on what kind of photography that you do. Faster burst rate, overall everything is just faster. Even autofocus in terms of tracking, it's just way better compared to the EM1 original. Like I'm using EM1 Mark II to shoot myself for my talking head video, and it has never failed to stick to my face. And it has 4K capture compared to the original EM1, just full HD. And the EM1 original's full HD wasn't even that great to begin with. And a 4K capture on the EM1 Mark II was decent for that time. Not the best out there, but it was very, very decent. Yeah, overall, I still feel that the EM1 Mark II is such a fantastic camera. That's why I still use it today for my jobs and to make my own YouTube videos for this channel. So definitely a massive, massive improvement over the EM1 original. Yeah. Usually with most camera manufacturers, and the same with cell phones, improvements overall are generally very small. That's not true, by the way. Like, for example, all the flagship cameras usually will see significant improvement. Different sensor, different tag. It's always the lower level cameras, like if it's an EM5, EM10, I don't care if it's incremental, but when it comes to flagship, like if you go to Nikon, go to Sony, go to Canon, the flagship always has like something very wow, very impressive. In whether it's feature sets or image quality or new sensor, there will be something wow in the flagship camera to make it to qualify as a flagship camera, right? Juliet says, sorry to confuse. I did test the Z50 to start and ended up with the ZF. It is a testament to the Nikon Super Zoom. Neither setup was long enough. Now evaluating what telephoto to buy and for what system. Understand. You can look at 100 to 400, give it a try, but make sure it's the second version. I know it's not cheap, but 400 is a significant reach. 400 gives you 800 on your Olympus or OM system setup. And not only that, you can add teleconverter. I wouldn't suggest getting the 2 times. Maybe go to the 1.4 times, which gives you what, 560 millimeters, which is still fantastic. Definitely check out the 100 to 400. And I have a video on the 100 to 400. If you have not seen it, all right. Let me see. OM system 100 to 400 Mark II. Check out this video if you've not done so. Juliet, highly recommend it to you. All right. Okay, let's see. Chuck says, I'll say an exception is that at f3.5 fisheye, it's a tank of lens, but I only paid $75 for it. And it's just really good for a 20 years old lens. Well, if the lens is $75, if I can find it here, I would buy it as well. Why not, right? Yeah. MLS says, what ISO would you recommend for the EM10 Mark III with the 1442 in a club setting? You can use whatever ISO that's necessary. I've never had any ISO problems. Like if you need to go high, right? But then always try to stay as low as possible. Like if you can get away with ISO 800, don't just go ISO 6400 unnecessarily. If you can get away with ISO 200, then why are you shooting at ISO 1600? It makes no sense, right? So there's no such thing as what ISO you should use. It's more like in that situation, what is the suitable or minimum ISO that you can use to get the shot that you need. If you're not shooting anything that's moving, I'll just drop it to ISO 200 and let the image stabilization do the job, right? I can get 1/10 of a second, 1/5 of a second, even half a second, no problem, handheld, like just drop to ISO 200 if there's nothing moving. But if there are moving subjects, then I have to watch the shutter speed. Let's say someone talking on stage or with minimum movement, maybe 1/100 of a second. But if the person is like dancing or moving around, or if like the singer is shaking the body a lot, then maybe 1/200 or 1/320 of a second. Then you see the corresponding ISO to match that shutter speed to give you the right exposure. Like, I can't just give you a number. Oh, easy, just use ISO 3200. Like, no, it does not work. Like, that's why sometimes when I'm sharing camera settings, I am very aware that it doesn't help people. People keep saying, oh, Robin, thank you so much for sharing the settings. Oh, I learned so much from it, but what do you really learn? This is a unique situation. You were not there. You didn't know. You were not shooting that particular show. The only thing that's useful is I tell you, if I use ISO 6400, this is the kind of shot that you can get. But it doesn't mean you should use ISO 6400. If you can get away with lower ISO, you should use lower ISO, right? Or if you need more than ISO 6400, just go more than ISO 6400. If you need to jump to 12,800, then go for it, right? So there's no fixed rule. There's no right and wrong in this, and everyone has different approach when it comes to exposure or getting the shot. And honestly, there's no right and wrong. Like, you may use a different kind of way to get your ISO numbers. So I can't, like, there's no recommendation in this situation. I hope you understand, right? Yeah. No worries, Juliet. I appreciate that. Luz says, Full Thirds or Micro Four Thirds can be excellent. Best matches are the f2 lenses, but those are massive and not cheap though, by the way. And I think it's unnecessary. I mean, if you already have them, sure, not a problem, right? 50 to 200 is also not a small lens. 300 f2.8 is it's actually impossible to find. Like, do you guys know that 300 f2.8 is a make-to-order lens? It's not readily available on the shop. Like, if you want that lens, you have to go to Olympus and order that lens, and they'll make it and send it to you from Japan, right? So that lens is ridiculously expensive. We have a super chat. Thank you so much, Juliet. I appreciate it. On this Thanksgiving, I'm grateful for. Oh, you are so kind. So that's what you guys do, right? On Thanksgiving, you say things that you are thankful for. Well, I guess it's my turn. For this Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for everyone. You guys are so awesome, and I appreciate all of you being here with me, chatting with me. Thanks, Juliet. Really appreciate the support and super chat. Right, let's see what's next. Isaac says, thanks for the advice. Reason for such idea is that I found a pristine condition of Sigma 50 to 500 for 1,000 ringgit. Was thinking of buying it for casual wildlife photography. And don't be surprised if the autofocus isn't that great. And also the image quality is not that fantastic. The earlier Sigma lenses were not really known for the image quality or the lens sharpness. It's more like, oh, if you can't afford a Canon and Nikon lens, here you go. You have Tamron and Sigma as third-party options, right? They are like 50% cheaper than Canon and Nikon counterparts, but hey, it gets the job done. Only like much later on, I think it's not that reason anymore, they started to really compete when it comes to image quality, and they released like really high quality lenses, both Tamron and Sigma. But then again, the prices are also not budget anymore. The prices could be even more expensive than what Canon and Nikon are charging, right? So the earlier lenses, be aware, and if something happens to that lens, I don't think there's a way to fix it anymore. I don't think Sigma Malaysia can do anything for you. So bear in mind, these older lenses, there is a cost to it. Yes, it's 1,000 ringgit, it's very cheap, but what if you bought it and then 1 week later something happens? And that's 1,000 ringgit down the drain as well, right? If you buy newer lenses, I know 100 to 400 is not the same price. Maybe it's about 5,000 ringgit. But at least if something happens, you can go back to the service center and you have warranty to fix it, right? Yeah. Valis says, I think that low light on Micro Four Thirds isn't an issue on all the latest high-end bodies from Panasonic and OM System. Have very best image stabilization. I agree. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. 12 to 200 was great on a foggy day. I don't understand what that means. Sorry. I've tested the lens not on a foggy day. So if you haven't seen my review, let me just share it one more time. I shared it earlier just now. So share. Olympus 12 to 200 mm. I did not shoot Foggy Day with that lens. I don't understand what that means. Jeffrey says, I agree with Robin on the EM1 Mark II being sort of the best weather state of the art. That was a massive upgrade at the time. Best exposure settings, you best results per composition on any kit. Yeah, it's quite a fantastic camera. Come to think of it, it's like a huge jump from EM1 original. And even today, like if you use the camera against any of the modern cameras today, I wouldn't hesitate to use the EM1 Mark II. Right, still can deliver great results. Anthony says, you said Sony had a 40 megapixels macro four thirds sensor out. I'm not sure how good the lens sensor would be. I mean, come on. All the sensors these days are from Sony, right? OM1 sensor is from Sony, EM1 Mark II sensor is from Sony, Panasonic G9 sensor is from Sony, G9 Mark II is from Sony. Like, is there a question that Sony doesn't know how to make sensors? And I've already proven that low resolution doesn't mean better image quality, right? The myth about using low resolution for high ISO performance, that has been debunked many times over. And people keep saying, oh, Micro Four Thirds has a lot of diffraction, blah, blah, blah. I still show that F11, F13, F16. On my macro shots, like you all look at my macro shots, I don't think anyone complained that the images are soft. Like, do you see any softness in my F11, F13 macro images on Monday? And, you know, like the one that I've shared last week, like there's no issue whatsoever, right? Last says, Four Thirds on Micro Four Thirds, 714 is better than F4. But then again, why use F4? Olympus Micro Four Thirds, 7 to 14 is F2.8. Why are you talking about F4? Fish Eye is better than Four Thirds. Four Thirds lenses better on larger bodies with grips, even on X. Autofocus is not as fast, definitely, but better than E system. Depends. Some of the lenses on the E system is still better than, well, depends on which E system bodies, right? If you use E5, then some lenses are still better than the EM1 Mark II, EM1 Mark III, if you compare side by side. But Alex says, when I shoot low light with G9 Mark II, I keep my ISO at 3200 f5.6, so shutter speed is low, but the image stabilization allows me to get clear pictures. Like these are the kind of settings that you can't fix. You can't say, oh, I'll fix 3200 f5.6, right? But that's not going to help in the situation that I've showed you before. I was shooting at ISO 12800 f1.8 at 1/20th, right? So if I drop from 12,800 to ISO 3200, that's right, 2 stops of exposure loss. It's 2 stops underexposed. From 1.8 to f5.6, that's another 3 stops. So that's 5 stops of difference. Right, and shutter speed, I don't know what low is, but I was already at 1/20th. So you're talking about 4 to 5 stops being underexposed. If I were to use your setting, it doesn't apply, right? Yeah, so it just doesn't apply. Let me see if I can find that particular photograph, the one that is purple. Where is it? Yeah, this one. This was ISO 12,800 at 1/20th of a second at f1.8. If I use your settings, this shot is just going to be pitch black. And at ISO 3200, that's going to be problematic when you try to lift the shadow, right? It's just not going to help. Yeah, no matter how great your G9 Mark II is, right? Yeah. So no. Defrom says, high ISO performance is so good even on 10 years old G85. Okay, if you like it, then not an issue. Crystal says, Robin, do you have any experience with the 3500 f2.8? They are cheaper than 4150 f2.8 and a used market. So you see, with the existence of 40 to 150 f2.8 and 75 1.8, it sort of negates the need for 3500 f2.8. I'd rather just have 75 1.8 and just crop in a little bit if I'm gonna get a 100mm reach, or as an official photographer, I can just move in a little bit closer, right, and get my shots anyway. Like I've shown you all my shots, tight shots with the 75 1.8. I don't need a 100mm lens if I am the official photographer, right? Let me see if I have some tight shots to show. 75 1.8. No, this is too much to the end already. Let me see if I can get something earlier for 75 1.8. Yeah, like this is 75 1.8, right? So do I wish I have 3500? No. But the f1.8 versus 2.8 is a massive difference. Like instead of using ISO 12,800 with f1.8, I can get away with ISO 6400 and cleaner result, right? So no, I think that lens is a little bit in the middle of nowhere with the existence of both the 40-150 f2.8 and 75-1.8. So if I want more reach, I'll go for 40-150. It makes more sense versus 75, right? 100 is just like, I'll just move myself a crop, right? Makes no sense. And that lens is not really that cheap either. I think the used market is about the same price as 75-1.8. I think 75-1.8 is fantastic. It's way fantastic. Anthony says, do you think we might see an all-new OM1 Mark III beginning of March in 2026? Let's hope for an all-new 30-megapixel sensor will be wow enough for you. Depends. I'll wait until I see the actual camera and see whether it's a wow camera or not. Like now, everything is just speculation, right? Like how do I know it's a wow or not? But I think if OM system or OM Digital Solutions really care, it's about time they release a replacement or a successor for the OM1 Mark II, because when the OM1 Mark II came out, it's just a minor software tweak compared to the original OM1. So I think it's time now they come up with something really impressive, something that will wow and turn heads, and could be in the form of OM1 Mark III or something else, I don't know, and they have to release it really, really soon. Yeah. Currently, the Nikon Z6 Mark III is cheaper than OM1 Mark II. Yeah, when I said it, everyone was like, oh no, you can't compare a new camera launch price versus a camera that was already launched earlier. Like the earlier camera has dropped in the market, so it's cheaper. And now, when both prices have dropped, ta-da! Z6 Mark III is cheaper, right? Yeah, I don't get how people can just justify things from their head and just say whatever they want to say and just prove the point that they want to prove. Like they can't see things objectively. Like, come on, it's so obvious. OM1 Mark II is overpriced. That is a fact. There are many compelling alternatives out there, especially full-frame counterparts that can perform better than OM1 and smaller and lighter than OM1, and yet they cost lower than OM1. That is troubling. Basilis says, I got here late, so I wasn't saying how I would shoot that scene. I just said those settings because I like what I get from those settings, since I tend to not like shallow depth of field. But then again, if you are in a situation where you need ISO 12,800, shallow depth of field is the last thing that you will think about. You will think about how to gather as much light as possible so you don't have to go to beyond ISO 25,600, right? So shallow depth of field is not the priority. Like, I understand like this is one of your preferences. I'm not saying that's not valid, but in every situation of the shooting environment that you're in, you need to find out what's the most important. In this situation, extreme low light, what do? You want to gather as much light as possible, whether it's by opening up the lens or slowing down the shutter speed, increasing the ISO, right? So shallow depth of field is not the priority here. It can ruin your shot if you care about the wrong things, right? So yeah. Anthony says, I think OM system could be a little bit more aggressive with the pricing. I think they need to be, especially when equivalent spec mini pro cameras with competition are cheaper. Yep, that's what I just mentioned, right? There are a lot of alternatives that are actually cheaper than this. And James, thank you so much. James says, thankful for robbing this channel and a great community. Let's do this. Thanksgiving shuttle therapy. Have a great, fantastic day wherever you go. Thank you so much, James. Appreciate the support. Really, really appreciate it. And happy Thanksgiving to you too, and to everyone else who support. And I'm thankful for all of you being here. Lars says a WoW release for some of us will be a larger sensor EM1X. Nah. If I want a larger sensor EM1X, why don't I just go to full frame? Think. Why don't I just go full frame? If size is not a problem, full frame, right? The reason why I go to Micro Four Thirds is because it's small, right? Why want I use such a massive, heavy body if I'm if I don't have issues with handling larger lenses and camera bodies, then I'll just go to full frame, right? Yeah. All right, let me just drink more water because gotta stay hydrated. Been talking to almost 2 hours straight, almost midnight here, so I'll just wait for a few more chat to come in. I'll reply and then we'll call it a night. I just realized I didn't drink water for 2 hours, right? I didn't drink water for 2 hours. Yeah. All right. Any more coffee? Some coffee left? Any more chat? Nope. As it says, I agree. In cases where I need more light, there's no choice but to increase ISO or whether just put a tube light. Yeah, I can't bring my additional lighting, whether it's LED or flash, because the place is very tight, and yeah, no flash photography allowed because it's a table lamp setting, right? Table lamp concert. So flash will be like pop, 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 and very distracting, and it just destroys the environment of the performers, right? So yeah, and LED light will be like also a killer because it's so bright and people don't like that. So unfortunately, I couldn't do that. And yeah, I mean, in controlled environments, when I do my inside macro photography, I always use flash, right? And I just use a powerful flash. Sometimes I have to go half power or more for my shots, right? And that's really, really powerful. Flood the inside with as much light as possible. That's where you get like all these details and contrast and beautiful sharpness and everything. So yeah, if I have the chance or opportunity to use additional light to support my subject, I'll definitely try to use the light. But in a lot of situations these days, especially like in this low light kind of environment, it's explicitly mentioned that no flash photography allowed, and you can use all kinds of additional light. It's just not not feasible. So you got to deal with the low light. That's where low light becomes a challenge. And I personally think that Micro Four Thirds, or at least the kind of situations that I was in, is still feasible. It still delivers great results. Yeah. All right. If we don't have any more new chat, I guess I'll just call it a night because we are 1 minute away from midnight. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys supporting me. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. And yeah, so Thanksgiving, right? It's not a culture in Malaysia, but hey, since you guys, a lot of you are actually celebrating, so yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. And I'm very thankful for your assistance, for your support, for you being here. All right, I'll just read two last chats, and then we'll call it a night. Jeffrey says, when I was 35, the last spec I checked on camera lenses for work was size and weight. At 70, it's in top 3. I'm very active if you want to stay that way. Hey, I'm not getting any younger as well, Jeffrey. So yeah, I need something lighter and definitely smaller. Juliet says, still thinking about 100 to 400. I hope just turn about Nikon 400 f4.5, but good problems to have. Well, think about this, right? Nikon 400 will not give you the reach of the 100 to 400 on the Olympus. 400 doubles that, right? Anthony says, I'm mostly in agreement. A squeaky wheel gets the grease. Hopefully, OM system will answer our prayers. What we want to see in the next flagship. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Definitely, not holding my breath. Let's hope for the best. I guess if OM Digital Solutions wants to survive the market, they should start listening to us, right? Yes, Gregory says everyone should have a Thanksgiving Day, even if it's not a holiday. Oh, no worries. And with that, thanks for being here. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner and celebration with your family. Please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.